All right, well, I think we can go ahead and get started. Want to make sure we have give everyone plenty of time for this wonderful creative thinking session that we've joined here today. So I'm so glad you've joined us today for Build at this creative thinking session led by the amazing Bridget Quigg. My name is Wendy Boswell, and I work in the developer relations org here at Microsoft. And I'm just going to be behind the scenes today, helping us all to have a great session and a good time. So real quick, before we get started, we're going to take a quick look at the Microsoft Code of Conduct, which I'm sure you've all seen. But it's just a simple ask that we're all nice and respectful, have a good time with each other, which I know we will. It's all about respect and creating a welcoming space for everyone to enjoy, right? So with that, I'm going to switch it over to Bridget and have her kick us off. So let me just finagle that. Okay, one sec. And I'm going to send Bridget live. All right, it's all you, Bridget.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. Hi, everyone from all over the world. That was amazing to watch the locations come in. I'm here in Seattle, Washington on quarantine. It's good to have you all here together. So creative thinking session. First off, kudos to you. First of all, for signing up for Build so you can learn, grow your careers. Secondly, for taking the time to work on this aspect of your skill set and your mind. Quick intro from me, and then we'll get right into the material. I know it's a 45-minute session, but I have so much that I want to share. I am a longtime member of Seattle's tech startup community, mostly in marketing, mostly at the director level. And then the whole time I was working in tech here in Seattle, I was also on stage a lot. So I perform stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, improv comedy. I play music, and I write music that is funny, often, I hope, oftentimes. So the whole time I was working in tech, I found myself bringing these skill sets I had from theater over to my teams and my teammates. In particular, we're going to lean heavily on the world of improvisational theater today. You're not going to be performing. This is not anything to get worried or nervous about. But the fact is that improvisational theater actors up on stage create together in an instant without a plan. Somehow they get both of their creative streams or multiples working together in unison, and they're highly generative. They progress things forward really quickly and really easily. I'm going to give you some of the tricks of the trade. There is nothing random about what they are doing. It is very, very well taught skill set on how to share space, how to trust your creativity, and then also to help others and respect theirs and bring it forth. I will say this too. I know a lot of you are not, maybe English isn't your first language. I will make an effort to speak clearly, and I apologize if I get going fast. I'm going to slow myself down so we can all stay together. And with that, lovely to meet you face to face. We're going to go to the slide deck now, Wendy, and get cracking.
All righty, let me just finagle that.
Okay.
Appreciate everyone's patience here. This is somewhat of a new thing for all of us. All right, here we go. Sending. Now it's coming. All right, there we go.
I see it. Cool. All right, so welcome to the creative thinking session here at Build. Wendy, you can go ahead and go to the first slide.
Okay.
All right, so as I said, the goal of this session is for you to hear your great ideas and help others do the same. Simply put. And in fact, let's just go right to the next slide, and this will help me introduce my next main reason why I think that's important. All right, so this is a statement that I have on every page of my website. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable with the word genius. So you are a creative genius. It is bizarre to hear that, but I'm going to tell you why I believe that, and I'm going to keep going back to this statement throughout our time together. Every one of you have an innate creativity. It is bottomless. I believe everyone is infinitely creative. You could have not made it to this point in your life as a human being on Earth without having a tremendous capacity to find solutions, come up with fresh ideas just to get through your day, much less maintain the career you have, solve problems, write great code, think of great products, figure out the markets for those products, all the ways you use your creativity. The word genius, if you look it up in English, is actually about an innate ability. It's something you're simply born with. So all of you truly are highly, highly creative. And I like to bring this message in so strongly because I have found and I believe that workspaces where people believe that they're creative and they understand that everyone else around them is as well, and they can work together productively, are highly successful, also more fun, also more productive, and more innovative workspaces. So here we go. I'm going to be having you guys go to the chat quite a bit during this time because I want you to feel engaged and like you're getting to interact. So here's my first request for you heading into the chat. Just going to start dealing with this concept of creativity. We've all gone through something really strange lately as a globe. I'm currently still in quarantine here in Seattle. Name something in the chat that you have done that you've never done before because of that experience of whatever restriction. I know we have folks from Sweden, you guys had fewer restrictions, but even then, everyone was impacted. Maybe you worked from home more and you had to come up. Go ahead and just start writing these into the chat if you would, and share how you did something creative. Maybe you figured out a date night with your spouse in your home, even though you couldn't leave the home. Maybe you figured out, you raised your skill set by studying something new. See if any of them are able to come through. Any way that you were innovative because of this global experience. I'll tell you something from my end is just simply getting my lighting right on my camera because everything we do is on camera now. All right. Open water swimming, very cool. Okay, I'm seeing started to learn how to draw. Beautiful. Cooking. Broadcast my artwork. These are wonderful from an online space, you guys. I love them. Walking outdoor meetings. Yes, a lot of those. Took an art class, made yogurt. Sourdough bread I heard as well. Yogurt is great. Indian home cooking, post my videos on YouTube. I also did more video work. I agree with you on that. Did recording studio remotely. Gosh, these are wonderful. Pets, cats, sewing machine. Okay. I can't stay with this, but I hope you guys keep scrolling through and keep adding them in. I'm going to ask you now to talk about another aspect of your creativity, and I wish I could name these all. They're just wonderful. At your work, you are, I'm sure, multiple times a day, if not all the time, basically being asked to use your creative mind. If you would put into the chat, whether you're a developer, whether you're running a team of developers, whether you're an entrepreneur working by yourself, trying to start your own company, where are you using your creativity? And you don't have to name a whole bunch. You don't have to come up with the best one. Just name one aspect in your job daily where you feel daily or, regularly where you feel you use your creative mind. Oh, these are also wonderful. Home workouts with my spouse. I'm still seeing some of those come in. I started playing Animal Crossing. Does that count? Of course it does. I think everything new that was positive that we all did to adapt. 13 pounds of pork shoulder. My goodness, these are wonderful. We should write these all down so we can all have these wonderful ideas for ourselves. All right, so I'm going to look in the chat, and Wendy, I know will be helping me. Yep. Where are you creative in your work? I see hello from Nigeria. Hello to you. Wonderful to have you here. Just trying to get you to recognize simply how you are already a very creative person, and you've been depending on that part of yourself throughout your entire life. We're still getting these wonderful learn Android through online courses. Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'm not seeing those just yet. Oh, I attended a conference. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm seeing some more stuff about manage work at homes. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and go forward. Wendy, if you get those, go ahead and pull them through. I just want us to move forward anyways. So I can see a lot of great creative ideas. If you could say where you're creative at work, that's great. I'm going to go forward because I want to do a quick warm up. I'm already kind of starting to warm you up, but I want to teach you something with this warm up. So often we think if we think harder, we'll be more creative. If we just try harder, if we sit still, if we make ourselves. I'm a big believer that creativity is something that comes when you allow it to come up. All right, so a lot of people have great ideas in the shower, on a walk, at yoga class, wherever they are, where they're really not thinking as hard. So I'm just going to try and get you into that space just a little bit by doing this warm up. If you would go forward with the slide, Wendy. Sure. Thanks. All right, so, oh wait, did I pass? No, good. Okay, so word ping pong. Perfect.
All right, there we go.
Perfect. So this is basic word association. I know not all of you English is not your first language necessarily, so I'm just asking you to do your best with this warm up. If you want to do it in your own native language, by all means, feel free. I'm going to say a word. You're going to say the next word that comes to mind. I know this seems so simple, but I'm trying to get you in that word allow. I want you to allow it to come up. I don't want you to judge it or change it or think about it. So if you don't want to put it in the chat, you don't have to. I'm going to go straight into this because I just want to keep track of our time. Simple words, and I'll give you an example. If I said, say someone said to me bird, I would say leg. Doesn't matter, whatever comes out. Or if someone said car, I would say windshield. Whatever it is good. I'm going to hit you with these at what I hope is a decent pace, so it's not overwhelming, but also not too slow, because I want you to not think too much. Here we go. First word, dog. Eat. Next word, time. Bright. Fun. Doing more. Team. All right, so I don't know how many of these are making it okay into the chat. Oh, how to bring your pet to a meeting. Okay, so now I'm seeing some of the ones regarding work. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so if you would go through that one word ping pong process. I was going to see, but I don't want to overwhelm the chat. I was going to see how that went for you. I'm going to go to the next version of it and then we'll check in after that. Wendy, if you would go forward.
Yes, there's so much, I'll just say there's so much chat coming in.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Totally fine.
Which is great.
It's great. I love them all. Grew a weird beard is what I'm seeing right now. I mean, that is just, I actually know a few friends who have created user interfaces. These are just fantastic. Gosh. All right. So the next warm up, one word rhymes. So these words, I'm going to test your brain just a little bit more. This time you have to rhyme with the word that I said. So here we're providing constriction. Constriction in the world of creativity is actually seen as an advantage because when you have a tougher case, sometimes you come up with even more fabulous ideas. So an example of this that I love to use is that movie Apollo 13, if any of you saw it, where the astronauts had to come down from being in outer space in a very dangerous situation. The people on the ground had to come up with a solution. They didn't have any options. It was very restrictive. They were very creative. All right, so one word ping pong. So in this case, I would say, or sorry, one word rhymes. If I said tie, you would say sigh. Or if I said book, you would say look. All right, do your best. We're going to wrap this up and move on to the main meat. All right, so first word, free. Bank. Cash, zone, and pale. Okay, so those might have come a little fast for some of you. If you got one or two, plenty, because you still use your brain in this way and you still had to allow something to come to you, which is what I was hoping for. I know the chat is really full, so just maybe think to yourself, how did that go for you? Was it easy? Was it hard? Or perhaps you surprised yourself and came up with something you didn't expect, which is always a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to go forward from here just in the interest of time. Wendy, if you would go forward to the next slide. Okay, so here we go, our creative thinking mindset. So when I teach a class in person, I like to use these same ideas. We're going to just use them here. Go ahead and go to the next one, Wendy, if you don't mind.
Sure. Slide.
All right, so these are sort of unusual ideas. These are ideas that you wouldn't want to bring to a successful company, you would think. First one, be average. All right, in the time when we are here together creating, when you're creating, if you're in a space of judgment or editing, you're not going to get the hottest, most risky, most fun, most new, most innovative ideas. You have to dial it back and get into a space where I like to joke of being average. All right, so it's like if you're used to getting an A+ in your high school English or Spanish class, I need you to go for a C-. I need you to bring that first idea forth. I need you to love that idea and then let the next one come out. Okay, so aim for average. Secondly, celebrate failure. So this one, I usually put failure in quotes, but the idea is in this space when you're with me, and hopefully you can bring this energy back to your work, there is no failure. Nelson Mandela had a great quote where he said, "I never lose, I only win or I learn." So always look at yourself as in a process of winning and learning. So when you're here with me, take risks. So be average, celebrate failure. When I say celebrate, what I always say is if you feel like you failed, because we all go through that, throw your hands up in the air and say, woo, and then just moved on. It's a great way to just like shake it off, move on. Don't sit in failure. Finally, I just like to say, don't think. You're going to want to edit. You're going to want to think about what you're saying. If you would with me today, allow. Your first thought is your best thought, and I would like to hear it. Okay, so that is your creative mindset. That's great information to take back to your team as well. So we're going to move next to a theory of improvisational theater that is fundamental. A lot of you have probably heard of it, and I should probably scroll down on the chat and see how we're doing. But Wendy, if we have any burning, oh, I see you guys put your words in. Wonderful. Okay, fabulous. Thank you for that. That's really good to see. Okay, so let's move forward to the next slide, if you would, Wendy. Okay, so this is a principle of improvisational theater that is basically at the root of everything that's going on. So another thing I want to tell you, and if you've heard it, I wouldn't be surprised. You're welcome to put in the chat, I have heard of yes and, or I know yes and. Good to know, or no, I've never heard of it. But everything on an improv stage is an offer, is basically the theory. So if somebody walks on stage and they trip and they go flat on their face, going up some steps or something, that is an offer. So their fellow improviser must now accept, as we say, accept that offer. So they could say something like, wow, you're really into that stunt class you're taking, or gee, those are your big shoes, aren't they? Should we go get you some of the smaller shoes today, or whatever it is? And then the yes and process is fundamental to improv because it isn't necessarily agreement. People get uncomfortable with the thought that they have to say yes to everything. The yes part is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is powerful. People love to be acknowledged. You love to be acknowledged. We all love to be acknowledged. Opposite of being acknowledged is being ignored. And we'll talk about that a little later. Acknowledgement is invigorating. It is uplifting. So Wendy, if you would go to the next slide. So I like to say that yes is acknowledge everything. So this is a very powerful way to shift the energy in a room, shift your energy with yourself, acknowledge everything. Okay, it's a very creative idea. And then the next thing, and you can go forward, Wendy, is build on it. Okay, so acknowledge everything is noticing, acknowledging, seeing the offers. Build on it is adding yourself. All right, so we're talking about acknowledging yourself. We'll get to that in a moment, but really in a setting where you're working with other people, acknowledge everything, build on it. So one of the best things you can do in a creative space is fully hear what someone's just said, go right on top of what they said, and yes and it. It isn't necessarily agreement, so I'll give you an example. If somebody says, I believe that we should have a group breakfast every morning at 7 a.m. Sorry, I laughed, 7 a.m., right? Maybe you could say, yes, and perhaps we could send out a survey and see what time people actually want to have breakfast. So the person say yes, and we could also include in that survey what kind of food they would like. Yes, and if we find every morning is too often, we could cut back on the number of times. Yes, and then we could do videos of our breakfast and have a video reel at the end. You know, if you start yes-anding an idea, you can change it, but you're not ignoring it, and that's the key. So I hope that's clear. Acknowledge everything, build on it. So go to the next slide, and it also keeps things positive. That's the other thing I wanted to say. Go to the next slide, if you would, Wendy.
Sure.
So this is a deeper concept. Okay, so this is something that I don't know how many other people teach in the world of creativity and improv. I am a big fan of this. So there's no one else in the room, or you're in a room with a group of people, and by golly, you have an idea. You know you have something that would probably benefit if it were shared. And I'm going to ask you even to believe if it's coming to you, it probably is worthwhile. Even if you're not sure, it probably is. It would probably help the conversation, would probably help find the solution. So I have this concept, yes and yourself. So as you have stuff coming up from that infinite well of creativity inside of you, yes-anding yourself means I acknowledge it, and now I'm going to build on it. So in a room by yourself, actually, and we'll do some of this in just a second, you can, well, actually, we'll do it right now. Okay, let's just play with this idea. So in the chat, if you would, or you're always welcome to do things privately, you know, because you don't want to share in the chat, not a problem. I'm going to give you a moment to think of a challenge you have, okay? Maybe at your work, you need to tweak the product you currently have to better fit your current market. Maybe you have a challenge in the code you're writing where you're not getting the slick result that you want, or maybe you're trying to get someone else who you manage to do a better job in their work. Pick one aspect of, you can also do something in your personal life, that's totally okay. So I need to figure out, you know, where I'm going to live next because I can't stay where I am because of the way things have changed. Whatever it is, pick a challenge. Now I want you to yes and it. So write it down. So I'll give an example while you guys do this, and we'll just sort of do it together. All right. So I had an example from the work world of, we need to have a successful product launch in June. All right. We need to have a successful product launch in June. Everybody knows we've got all kinds of stuff going on in the world that could make that challenging, right? You've lost a lot of personal contact depending where you are. You can think of all the negative things. What if you just sat there for a minute and yes-anded that? We need to have a successful product launch in June. Yes, and we could talk as a group and get a bunch of ideas on how to make that happen. Yes, and we can figure out what some resources that we don't know about currently to spread the word about our product. Yes, and we could contact, my friend, or we could, and get his input. He's outside of our company, but he's a really creative person. But start yes-anding this idea that you have, this challenge. The thing about yes and is it's going to force you to stay in a positive state of mind and a productive and a forward-moving state of mind. Because the chat gets so busy, and Wendy, I don't know if you're still getting more. It looks like you are. Okay. I see that. Okay, we'll just do this to ourselves in this case, and then and because of the time constraints, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it. But if you want to put something in the chat, I will. Yeah, okay, I see. I'm just kind of scanning through some of the stuff behind. All right, so yeah, I'm a bit behind on the chat. So thank you. Do put it in the chat because I know you guys might be able to, well, anyways, okay. So yes, and yourself, very valuable. I would challenge you this week to even pick 3 more things and sit by yourself and yes and them until you run out of ideas. If you go to a place that feels out of control or too imaginative, that's okay. You can yes and yourself back into something that's more in line with what you can do. I want to compare this to, Wendy, if you'd move the slide forward, please.
Sure.
Something that is very common in the workplace, happens on an improv stage, happens at home with your family and your kids and your spouse, with your extended family, friends. Yes, but. Yes, but. Okay, so this has a very different energy if you put it into practical terms. This is a great way to gain control. In a meeting, if somebody yes buts, they kind of win. I hate to say it. Yes is, oh yeah, no, I hear you. But is, and that's never going to happen. Okay, they're going to give you a reason why it can't. So yes, oh yeah. So product launch in June. Yes, and we could talk to my buddy John, who knows about this market more than we do. Yes, but John might share our stuff, with another company. Or you know what? Maybe we could observe what our competitors doing, and that would help us. Yes, but we don't want them to see that we're watching us. It's just a way to like, oh no, I hear you, but I'm gonna. And it happens a lot with budgets, payroll, and just practical, insurance for events, things like that. But you will find that immediately that progressive yes and energy pretty much stops. You have to put it in reverse, find a new direction, and try and recover from yes but. And I was going to have you guys do a simple exercise. So just do it to yourself if you don't have a way of getting into the chat because of the numbers. So yes and versus yes but. You could take a different challenge. I might just we'll just do something really simple, and I'm going to give you guys something really simple right now off the top of my head, but it's like, I'm going to bike to work. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. Hey, so and so, I'm going to bike to work. I want you to yes but me on that, just to yourself, or put it in the chat. There's a lot of things you could say. Of course, we have a lot of people from the Netherlands and other places that have wonderful bike lanes and all this comforts, but not all of us do. Yes, but you can't, your bike has a flat tire. Yes, but the roads aren't safe. Yes, but you'll have to wake up earlier. Yes, but you'll have to pack more food because you're going to be hungry. Whatever it is, yes, but it. Now take a moment, change your tune, and yes, and it. Yes, and you'll probably get in really good shape. Yes, and I think I have a friend who wants to bike to the same area. Maybe you guys could go together. Yes, and the sun and the fresh air will make you feel really healthy. Yes, and you'll save money on gas. So you can yes, but, or yes, and almost anything. Creative space, creative mindset, yes, and is your friend. So that's the point of everything that we just did. And I'm sure you're adding to the chat. Okay, now I see we're getting some more stuff in. Thank you, Wendy. I know it's a lot to manage. All right, so there's yes and. I spent quite a bit of time with it, but I think it's so basic to everything we're going to talk about going forward. And if you learn nothing from this session other than playing around with yes and, you have learned a lot. Acknowledge everything, build on it. Okay, so we're going to go forward and we're going to talk about a couple other principles of improv. We're kind of refining. So these principles come from a book called Truth in Comedy. If you've never heard of it, Truth in Comedy. This is from the Chicago improv scene. It was written from that group of people. A lot of great Saturday Night Live is a popular show here in the States. A lot of those comedians trained in Chicago. So Wendy, if you go forward one, please. I think it's gonna be the overacceptance slide. This is the first principle I want. Okay, so this is an odd word. There are genuinely hundreds of things like this I could teach you, but I'm just going to focus on the next three. So I have three more improv principles, and then we're going to play a couple of games, and then we're going to move to questions, just so you know. That's the plan. And I'm trying to keep up with the chat over here. I see an afternoon nap there. Okay, good. And I like how you guys are voting them up. Very cool. Started a new job remotely. Congratulations to whoever that is. All right, so overacceptance. This sounds a little strange, but this is a powerful thing to do, particularly if you are in a leadership position in a room where there needs to be some fresh ideas, okay? This is where you help people who maybe wouldn't normally speak up, and you encourage them to share by what's called over-accepting. So you accept offers in improv. If you over-accept, there was a comedian who was very, very, very good at this. He was famous. He was on Saturday Night Live for a number of years. His name was Chris Farley, American comedian. He was famous because he could take any small drop you gave him and literally create a whole new world of ideas out of it, okay? So for example, this is always what I say with Chris. If you were to offer him a soda, like it's a hot day, hey Chris, you want a soda? Soda? I love soda. I'm gonna drink 50 sodas, I'm gonna crush every can on my head, and I'm gonna make a statue of you. So you just went from offering him something to drink to now having an art form made out of soda pop cans that is just for you from him. And he could take it on and he could do more of them. And pretty soon you'd have a world tour. So overacceptance in this case, in a meeting or for yourself even, it's the quiet voice. It's the person who says, well, you know, could we maybe think about, I don't know, doing the box cover in yellow? Because I heard yellow is really popular right now with that age group, or gives off this kind of energy. But they say it quietly. Bring that out. Yes. And what else do you know about that? Yeah, and we could actually look into that a little bit more. We should look at very carefully at the colors we're using for that market. Do you want to work on that? But the point is, overacceptance is reaching out a little bit, okay, in a creative setting. Wendy, go ahead and move forward. It should be yeah. Okay, so here's another great principle of improv that is really healthy in the workplace in particular. Make your partner look good. You think you're up on stage in an improv show with lights shining in your face. You have an audience out there. They're all paid to come to the show. They're all expecting to laugh. Make your partner look good is the principle that your real job is to not gaze at your own belly button and worry about yourself. You need to have your eyes up. You need to be looking around, and you're looking for offers. You're looking for ways to elevate people, to hear them, to acknowledge them, and then, of course, as we know, to build on what they say or what they offer. It's a very respectful, very positive, and frankly, I think, realistic way to get things done. Because the moment you stop trying to make your partner look good, trust is lost. Trust is a huge issue in workplaces. So making your partner look good, it doesn't mean being inauthentic, and it doesn't mean being fake. It means genuinely listening and coming up with a way to say, okay, no, I hear you. Let's see, maybe you could go talk to so-and-so about that because I think you got something there. Or we did try that, it didn't work for these 3 reasons. Okay, last year we tried, didn't work. So these are the 3 reasons that work. If you can address those, I'm happy to hear again this idea from you. So it's bringing them up as opposed to bringing them down. It's really good if you need to get a lot of forward movement quickly. Let's go to the next slide, Wendy.
Okay.
So this is sort of the grandmaster killer of all creativity. This is blocking. This is a very common trick in improv when you're a younger improviser, a new actor, someone who's just getting started, because it's a way of taking control and it's a way of getting a laugh. One of the fundamentals of humor, if you didn't know this already, is the element of surprise. It is something unexpected. That is part of why you laugh. Blocking often results in that feeling of, wow, I didn't expect that, okay? And on stage, a lot of times it can get a laugh. So it's basically ignoring or rejecting someone straight out. So if I came on stage and someone said to me, hey, Bridget, I love your purple hat. Blocking would be like, I'm not wearing a hat. Simple example, but in a stage setting, it can really get a laugh because it kind of surprises the audience. But what it does is it kills the scene. The scene is now over. I just ignored what you offered, and now we have to rebuild genuinely from nothing, because either that or I have to say, oh, no, it's a special invisible hat. No, or the other person I'd say, no, it's that hat. It's sort of invisible. And like, you'd have to scramble in essence. Blocking also is just a way of taking control. A person who blocks wins control. Staying open, yes, anding, building has a totally different energy. So I'm asking you to think, don't block, don't ignore. Okay, so overaccept, make your partner look good, and don't block. These are all fundamentals of creating a creative space. Also, frankly, for yourself. We are doing so good, Wendy. It is 1:31 in my world, and we have time to play a last few games. Does that sound good? So we're gonna spend the next 9 minutes doing a few more games. We'll try and get this all into the. Let's see. Let's try and get all into as much of the chat we can. This first game, go ahead and go forward, Wendy, if you would.
Sure.
It's called PR Lead. So we've learned a whole bunch of stuff in the last little bit. I've thrown a lot at you and you're doing great. Take the mentality of being average, celebrating failure as in there is no failure, not thinking. Another thing I didn't mention is a lot of times people think in a creative space like you have to be funny, right? Or you have to come up with the best idea. Just let the first one come out. And part of that also is allowing room for the people around you to build on what you've shared. You don't have to come up with all the ideas. You want a healthy space where ideas can be heard, shared, and lifted, that overacceptance. All right, PR Lead. So PR Lead in person is a far more complicated game. We're simplifying it down today to do it online, but the principle is the same. I worked in marketing for a number of years. Anyone who's been around marketing or around media, if you will, PR stands for public relations. A PR lead is someone who is hired to make sure that whatever is being launched, whatever celebrity has a concert, whatever new building is being built, the press regarding it is the best press, and it is the story, the best possible story for that particular event. So I want you to take on the mindset of what we call a PR lead or public relations lead. Another way you might understand this concept is a hype person. So in the world of rap, there's a person who hypes the main celebrity, right? What does that person do? They raise up everything that celebrity does. It was the best song. It was the coolest dance move. They had the best, shoes on, whatever it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a statement. Imagine I'm your celebrity. We're being interviewed. You're looking with me at this journalist across the way, and we've got to make this a good story. And I'm being a little boring. I'm not really serving it up very good. So you got to step in and work. So an example would be if they're like, so what'd you have for breakfast? And I said, I had a croissant. You would jump in and say, it was the flakiest, largest croissant ever made, and we actually had it flown in from Paris overnight so that our celebrity here could eat it. Now that's a more interesting story, right? You don't have to go that far, but play around. I'm asking you to be creative right now. I'm asking you to play. I get it. This is not business world, but it very much applies. And so I'm going to give you another example. Okay, simple. I read a book. That's all I say. I read a book. You're my PR lead. How are you going to make that a more interesting story? Think about what could have been more fantastic about my effort to read a book. And I know I'm trying to see if any of these can come in. Okay. I won't comment on the political news coming through. A dinosaur of a croissant, beautiful. That's wonderful. That's hilarious. Great. Yes. So probably, it was massive, right? But I'm sorry, and we're doing the book. Sorry, I just saw the dinosaur croissant. So if you get to the book, maybe the book was the longest book ever written. It was the most complicated book ever written. I read it in 35 languages. I translated it first, and then I read it again. Whatever you want to say. I'm not seeing that many in the chat just yet because I know we're, oh, here we go. Okay, you co-authored and published. Very nice. Took the storyline to a new level. There's a brand new biography of her incredible life. So this is wonderful. And do you see the energy of this? And I would say, too, if any of you have kids in your life, there's a lot of games you can play that are like this that kids naturally hop right on. And it's also great training for them and being positive. Also great training for your coworkers. So I'm seeing the characters came alive. She can read. It's Harry Potter, not, oh yeah, it's a new Harry Potter, not published yet. I wish, that'd be awesome. All right, Improv Wisdom, I saw that. That is my friend Patricia Ryan. So I'm going to pause right here while I still have everyone's attention and let you know this. There's a lot of books out there on improv that you can read that are full of great information. I mentioned Truth and Comedy, Improv Wisdom, Impro. They're all full of, Truth and Comedy is particularly well suited to quick learning and lots of nuggets. I also have a book on Amazon called Up Your Genius. So I call my workshops You're a Genius workshops. So I just created this on Amazon, and it's a short version of a lot of what I'm telling you. Also has a lot more games in it if you want to learn more games. So a lot of wealth of information. There's also a group called the Applied Improv Network. It is international, and you can also connect with them. I read a book which helped me change the world, but good. And if I've booked the very back, okay, wonderful. Oh, and I retain every word. Okay, so we're going to keep going. 4 more minutes. All right, gift giving. So this next game, thank you all for participating in that one. You're great hypers. Normally, if we had more, if the chat were a little more fluid, I would ask, where does this fit into your workplace? So maybe just think about that. Where could hyping fit into, or, kind of promoting people's work? And again, I'm not asking you to be inauthentic. If someone genuinely does a good job at something, it is a-okay to say, that was actually like, man, you did a lot better than you did yesterday. I'm really impressed. Or I tried to solve that and I didn't see that thing you saw, so I really appreciate it. Those are great ways to build trust, again, and encourage creative energy. So Wendy, go ahead and move forward on the slide.
Sure.
Oh, I'm starting to see some questions. Okay, I see that one. How do you contribute when you're a newbie in a team and where you want to impress or not sound stupid? Amen. I totally get that question. I'll give it a like. We'll address that in just a moment. One more very quick one. This one I call gift giving. Again, more complicated in person. We've simplified it. This is a little more challenging, it's a little more complicated, but I know you can do it, and it's my job to explain it well so you get it. Gift giving, you did something nice for me. That is the setting we're in. We're in a scene and you just did something nice for me. I'm gonna name it, you gave me a gift in essence, that's why I call it this. I'm gonna name what you did for me and you're gonna tell me why you did it. So right now you don't know what's coming at you. You're gonna trust your creativity and allow whatever it is to come up. So for example, I might say, you brought me dinner. Okay, you brought me dinner, and you would say, yeah, well, I knew you liked steak and I had an extra one. Or, well, yeah, because you looked hungry. You want to try and keep it positive, but I know you weren't able to get to the store, so I brought it to you a hot dinner. Okay, so let's just do one of these. We don't have a ton of time, and I want to get to some questions. Let's just do one. Okay, you saying, we'll do this one. You made me a cake. I'm saying to you, hey, you made me a cake. You tell me, why'd you make me a cake? Anything, allow it, let it out. First thing, first thought, be average. Please don't aim for excellent. Just give me what you got. Meanwhile, I'm going back through the chat and giggling at everything you guys have written.
Very active chat today.
Oh, it's wonderful.
On fire.
Oh, 800-page novel all about relations between princes of the 13th century, and then give an outline lecture on the I mean, these are wonderful. Again, look at how creative you all are. Creativity is not the birthright of one person versus another. All of you have it. It's a magical superpower that you have, and it is there to help you get basically through life. All right. It was my birthday. Thank you. It was a special occasion. Thank you. Oh, they had the best lasagna. That was regarding dinner. I just got a great promotion. I'm so happy for you. Well, thank you so much. To celebrate the millionth copy of your book being sold, thank you so much. I know how you love sweet food. Okay, you guys are fabulous. So you're totally getting it. These are positive. You did them quickly. You didn't take 15 hours to come up with something. I make cakes in my sleep. I like that. That's someone who's very confident in their cake making. I didn't want you to starve to death while you're doing such great work, and you really deserve cake. Okay, I could go on and on. So we're almost to 140. Before we go to the questions, I'm going to say one thing, and I do remember the one that someone said earlier. They asked about how to basically not look like a fool, which I totally understand, and that is the risk we run so often when we're in a group setting that we get nervous about that. All right, so I just want to say these few things. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do. I am here. You can connect with me. I have a website, bridgetquigg.com, if you want to write me there. I did say I have my book on Amazon. There's a whole world of improv study. I'm happy to tip you off to more stuff, and that's all I'll say about that. Really lovely to have you all here together. So Wendy, why don't we officially open it up to Q&A? We have 5 minutes left exactly, it looks like to me. Yeah. Does that sound right? Okay.
That's right.
And so if you have questions, throw them in. We're going to be having a hard stop at 1:45 my time, so wherever you are, the 45 of the hour. And so how to not look stupid? That is a fair question. And I will say this, I'm talking about a situation that is very much designed for creative generation. In my mind, ideally, almost every company would create this kind of environment for the highest level of success, right? You can feel the energy of an environment that allows for this. If you're in an environment, and I have been in plenty, and I do understand, where you don't feel safe, maybe to say your idea, and this isn't necessarily my area of expertise, I'm just throwing this at you. Allies, have someone in the room who's your pal, who you know will back you up. It's a real thing and it does help, because the fact is your idea does matter and it's worth hearing. And then the other idea is, if you don't feel comfortable sharing it in the meeting, send it out in an email. You know, also a great way to kind of lock in your credit for that great idea. Talk to your boss about it. Maybe they can help represent it for you. So that was one question answered. Let's see if we have any other questions. Wendy, do we have some coming in here at the bottom of the? Okay,
yeah,
good.
we just got a question that
Yep.
can you recommend some books
Yes.
on these concepts?
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So I mentioned a few. I'm just going to say them a little more slowly. So Improv Wisdom, Patricia Ryan. Actually, I went to Stanford University here in the United States. She wrote that book. She was my teacher, Patricia Ryan, a kind of a behemoth of the world of improv. Impro by Keith Johnston. That is a classic. As I mentioned, Truth in Comedy, Del Close, last name spelled C-L-O-S-E. And then I'm blanking right now, but I'm going to remember her name. There's another woman who's a Viola Spolin. It's a strange, but S-P-O-L-I-N. Those are classics. There's lots more out there, but those are classics. And of course, Up Your Genius by Bridget Quigg, which is short and different from those. Those are much more in depth. Okay. So I struggle sometimes with sarcasm, of course. I notice that I block people a lot. How can I put, yes, great question. I had a woman after a set one time who said, I realize you're a family therapist or marriage therapist because I block my husband all the time, which was funny. So blocking is natural. You learned it. You learned it so you could survive. Trust me. We all at times kind of had to learn to block so that we wouldn't so be able to maybe get our space we need or whatever it is. So I think the key is to just have a mindset of when is it sort of safe and kind and comfortable. And in general, what I would ask you is to elevate yourself and challenge yourself to yes and, even if you're only doing it mentally, everything. Because when you're blocking, the better thing to do is just, if you can, in your mind, at least say yes. Say yes to yourself. Okay, so how could I say yes? Okay, yeah, no, I hear you. Start with that. I hear you. People love that. One of my friends says everyone wants to be heard, seen, and loved. There's some study on that. You can look it up. Heard, seen, and loved. So say I hear you. Start with that. And then give yourself a second. And you can always say, I need a minute to process that. Or, okay, well, what I'm thinking is, I hear what you're saying, and what I would ask of you is the following: this, and this. You didn't say no, did you? You're asking them to just go a little deeper and give you back what it is that you need for them to be successful. Okay, I'm looking for, hope that helped. What's the best way to get the rest of your team on board? Yeah, so to get your team on board with these ideas, frankly, you should get them on Zoom learning this stuff with you. I don't know if these are going to be recorded. There's 2 more of these sessions left. It's a lot for people to understand potentially. It does take time to have someone explain it in a way, but if you could get them reading books, you could go to improv shows, although maybe a lot of us can't right now, but you can watch a lot of improv on TV. Is a bit edited, I'll be honest. Really raw improv is out there. Upright Citizens Brigade, UBC, Upright Citizens Brigade, they're on YouTube. You can see really raw, real improv there. They have it unedited. So read books, talk about it, and take away some of what I've given you here. We're right here at the end. Before I have the last question, and we're going to get cut off, I just want to say thank you for all being here. You're all awesome. Okay, have fun at Build. How can we set a low on the totem pole members of the foster creativity in a situation where the management? Yeah, there's such things as safe spaces, right? Foster creativity where you can. If you create an energy that is different from the energy of the management, they might be uncomfortable, but they also might have to respond to it. So I'd say strengthen the creative energy anywhere you can in your business. How do you bring these ideas back down to earth? Fair enough. Simply try to be a yes and person and see how it goes. That would be my #1 way to bring these ideas back down to earth. That will change the energy of any situation you're in, even if you're only practicing on the inside. How to motivate a team where there's a lot of pressure on. Yes, the littlest advancements in this energy will be motivational, and it's sort of like, we have a deadline. You acknowledge all the restrictions, right? We have a deadline, we have a budget, we have all these things. Within that, like those NASA engineers, we are going to try to be in a space of, I hear you, now here's me. at a minimum. I hear you, now here's me. And I know we're at minute 45. Wendy, what is our...
I think we can do one more question. Let's
okay,
go
what's
for
your strategies for introverts? Yes. Who feel less inhibited in such a yes. This is, I mean, I understand this and I see a lot of ups. So I would say, again, have a buddy or an advocate. There's some extrovert in the room who might be able to have your back. Let your boss know that you're working on speaking up and have them advocate for you. Basically create or it's something that you share your ideas in a written form. That's a-okay. That's still putting your ideas out there if you're not comfortable speaking up in a group. How do you keep being creative even when the project? Yeah. Well, there's a question. Hey, the project's going on for so long. Yes, and we could shorten it up by doing the following. I mean, take those challenges and try and play with them with my yes and perspective. Okay, I could go on and on. I appreciate all of you. Hit me with your questions. Feel free to write me, link with me. I'm glad you all came, and get out there and do your creative thing.
Yeah,
I guess
thanks
I
everyone.
have a slide.
Oh yeah, let me go ahead.
Slide.
Go
forth
for
and
it.
celebrate genius. There you go. Go out there. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thanks everyone for coming in and joining us today. We have 2 more of these creative thinking sessions. You can find them in the session builder, and there's going to be different learnings in each one. So we really encourage you to come back and join us again and learn even more about creating a more creative thinking self. But for now, just thank you so much, and you can go ahead and return to the main event at mybuild.microsoft.com. Thanks.